back again for your weekly wander around town, albeit a very, very quick, short, brief, small one. I thought I'd take you to Wyck, the other side of the river, for a bit. For quite a long time, the stretch from the river to the station has been called the Percé, which sounds elegantly French, which it is, of course. But it is easy to remember because of the similarity of the French word percer to the English word verb, to pierce. It amounts to the same thing, really. What the percé is a sort of demolishment of a medieval town and replacing it by 19th century bourgeois splendor. You have to imagine Maastricht, very late into the 19th century, totally cooped up within the walls. And the walls is not just a wall straight up and some turrets and some gates. No, the fortifications of Maastricht, like any other fortified town, would extend over hundreds of meters. There would be, the wall and the moat, and then structure this and counter structure that, and more moats and things, and it would go on forever. It would take up lots of space. And in the 19th century, it became increasingly clear that that was no longer a viable way of waging war. Not that waging war was abolished, as we all well know. Within those walls, Wyck was very, very cramped medieval style. When you came across the bridge, there was no view like you have today. You would walk into a very narrow street and come up against a row of buildings across it. So to get from the river to the gate going out to the east, you had to wander about Wyck for quite some time, and then you had to weave your way through the fortifications because the military authorities would not allow anything straight and easy, too helpful for conquerors, so we don't do that. Fixing this situation, making a straight, wide, pleasant, easy connection between the river and the wall took decades of haggling. Eventually, the military and national authorities relented, and it was allowed for a gate to be built, allowing access at any rate. But 2 years later, the fortifications were abolished outright. Then the wrangling about where the station was going to, the central station was going to be, continued for several more decades. And Maastricht, having loads of little stations of separate little lines going in all directions, basically except in the direction of Holland. So it took a very, very long time for that to be resolved. And in the meantime, the haggling was going on about what was going to be done about this cute medieval mishmash within the wall. And that is how the Percé eventually came about. The first one was breaking through the wall. And then in the decades after that, okay, we will make a boulevard type street from the river to the station, which, if the fates allow, will eventually be there. And of course, that is what eventually happened. The Maastricht authorities, from the very beginning, insisted on this percé to be for the well-to-do, to be for the bourgeoisie, for the people of standing. And that's what it looks like. And I think the saving grace has been that all those years it has been a very lively street as well. because people would like to, if they could afford it, only the rich could afford it, if they could afford to live there, quite a few of those who could also appreciated the street for its commercial value, it being such a thoroughfare. Of course, you'd want your business there. And there were quite a few. If you go and take a stroll now, you can see there are still quite a few there now. Happy walking.